between Dick Slater and Hacksaw Butch Reed. At the time this match took place, Hacksaw Butch Reed was the North American Heavyweight Champion. This was a non-title match, but at stake was Dick Slater's manager, Dark Journey. If Reed wins this match, he gets 30 days that Dark Journey must be his manager, and that's going to be a tremendous insult to Dick Slater. And so a lot riding on the match. But since this match has taken place, Dick Slater has captured the North American title. Now, Dick Slater, we have told you through the weeks, is one of the most highly regarded, highly rated stars in professional wrestling today. He has made a name for himself throughout the entire wrestling world, and he has come to the Mid-South area and plans to do the same, and he has been able to back up what he's been bragging about. He is now the North American Heavyweight Champion. So that puts in the kingpin in the Mid-South area, but he will have to defend that title for the first time in wrestling Friday, January 24th at the Sam Houston Coliseum. That's Fan Appreciation Night. That's the same night that you are going to be able to buy a general admission balcony ticket for only $4. Now, the ringside and arena tickets will be the regular price, but the general admission will be only $4, and that's a good shot at Dark Journey. You can bet she's going to be in Dick Slater's corner on Friday, January 24th, because Dick Slater is going to have to defend his title against the man with the DDT, Jake the Snake Roberts, and that's one of 9 matches that night that will also include the dangerous, explosive Bunkhouse Battle Royal. That will be the final event of the evening. And a Bunkhouse Battle Royal means all wrestlers enter the ring wearing what they want. Whatever they're wearing, they can use to win the Battle Royal. And when you have 22 wrestlers battling in that type situation for $25,000, you can see officials expecting maybe the most exciting, explosive moments of this 1986 wrestling season. It will take place that same night that you see Dick Slater, the new North American Heavyweight Champion, defend his title and belt against Jake the Snake Roberts, along with 8 other matches. Reed doing the moving. Slater was the man with the elbow, and Dick Slater can come at you with his feet, his legs, his arms, his elbows, but he's also against a man who has proven that he is one of the top stars of professional wrestling, and Hacksaw Butch Reed. And Reed used that atomic drop along with that right by that big soup-bone hand of his. And Reed is a well-conditioned athlete. We've seen Reed in the gym before here on Houston Wrestling, where he has bench pressed over 550 pounds, not just once, but with repetition. He has a lot of raw strength, and he is one man who's smart enough and good enough to incorporate that strong strength of his into a well-balanced wrestling attack. We've had a lot of men in wrestling who have been extremely strong, but Reed is one of those few that has been able to use that strength as just one of many assets into his wrestling game. But Dick Slater, a man who has held countless titles, man who has been rated as #1 contender to the world title in more than one situation. He's got a unique style. That's probably one of the reasons he's got so many nicknames. They call him Unpredictable Dick Slater, Mr. Electricity. There's a lot of other adjectives that wrestling fans have come up with for Dick Slater. But one adjective you better put in there is tough and rugged, and because Dick Slater's all those, and he is now flirting with trouble if he's going to rile the temper of Hacksaw Butch Reed. Your referee for this match is Gilbert. My name is Peter Burkholz. And I do want to urge you to get your tickets early for that Fan Appreciation Night, because that's Houston Wrestling's way of saying thank you for your support, not only at the arena, but for making Houston Wrestling on Channel 39 the #1 TV show. This is our way of saying thank you by bringing the top stars in wrestling on a tremendous card and providing you and your family and your friends a tremendous night of wrestling action. So Dark Journey now, she's happy. She has a lot riding on this match because she does not look forward to the possibility of having to be under the guidance of Hacksaw Butch Reed for 30 days. She likes her man Dick Slater, and she likes the way that he's been climbing to the top. They have been a controversial pair, but nevertheless they have not been able to be stopped by anybody. And talking about being stopped, Hacksaw Butch Reed's face was stopped by that metal ringside. as we see Reed down on the floor, feeling the effects of this attack by Dick Slater. Dick Slater, regardless of how he comes out with his North American title match against Jake the Snake Roberts, will be in that Bunkhouse Battle Royal. So will Jake the Snake Roberts. Dark Journey at this time has not been entered in the Bunkhouse Battle Royal, and if she was smart, she would make sure that she is not entered in the coming weeks. But a rip across the eye as Slater now taking full advantage of the referee being out of position, but that's a second nature to someone like Dick Slater, who has so much wrestling ability and experience that he can just feel where that referee is in that ring without even looking, and be able to use whatever tactics he feels is appropriate to win. Because of Dick Slater is much Davis of professional football. He just wins, baby. He is a character, but also a man that when he gets inside the ring is extremely tough to handle. He's trying to keep Reed's shoulders to the mat, but he was using that bottom rope, because when you try to keep Reed's powerful shoulders to the mat, you better look for every ounce of help you can get, and that's what Slater was trying to do by increasing his leverage. We joined this match in progress. It was about roughly 10 minutes deep into the match, and you saw Dark Journey slap Butch Reed. She's trying to do anything to keep Reed's concentration away from beating Slater, and it may have backfired. Dark Journey's enthusiastic support may have triggered Butch Reed into action, and that could be a serious mistake for Slater, and also a serious mistake the next 30 days for Dark Journey. A flying clothesline, and look at the fans cheering as they are sensing victory. They feel that Reed's close. He's close, but so is Slater, close to those ropes. Gilbert calling for the break, but you can see the hacksaw. He had a few things to discuss with Slater before he broke the hold. And Dark Journey now, from a face that was filled with confidence, is now a face filled with concern. And as Reed getting close, going for that figure four, is Slater trying to block it. If it's applied, it's going to be bad news for Slater. He's got the leg held in position. He hasn't been able to, he hasn't allowed Butch Reed, rather, to come down and apply the pressure that is needed on that cross leg. You can see a beautiful shot of it, how Reed just inches away from completing the hold. A hold that, if it is completed, could end this. Gilbert firing the question to Slater. Slater's feeling the effects of the hold, even though Reed hasn't been able to fully apply it. As Slater, with his wrestling knowledge, has been able to block it from being 100% applied, because this hold, when fully applied, doesn't give the man very much chance of breaking out of it. So the ropes, and that's kind of cutting it close. Tommy Gilbert breaking that hold, because Slater's hand was on the bottom rope. And now Reed, knowing that he's got Slater's leg hurt, knowing that he can now start to work on other parts of Slater, because Reed is concerned with one thing, the overall match. And when you get to the caliber of someone like Hacksaw Butch Reed or Dick Slater, you enjoy watching them wrestle, because they have a strategy and they want to wear down their opponents. They don't go for the quick pins. They know that in order to pin Dickie Slater, you're going to have to wear him down. And that's exactly what Butch Reed is doing now, as Slater draped across those ropes. Reed is aiming and firing away at that target. And he asked for permission from the fans at the Coliseum, the home of Houston Wrestling, and they surely give it to him. Do want to remind you that Fan Appreciation Night will be January 24th. That night only will be the night that you can get the general admission balcony tickets for only $4 a piece while they last. And we do urge you to get your tickets early for that night. Good move by Slater. As Reed tried to catch him off the ropes, he went into that neck snapper. Both men hit the mat, but has been able to allow Slater to somewhat neutralize by Reed. giving Slater just a few precious seconds to start to recuperate. And as he walks towards Reed, you can see Reed still groggy. He's going for the pile driver. He's got Reed up in the air. Reed blocks it and reversed it. And that takes a lot of strength. It also takes a lot of know-how to be able to block Slater from going to that pile driver. So both men in this particular match have shown their ability. They've shown their knowledge, and they've shown wrestling fans why they're two of the best in the professional ranks today. A pile driver by Reed as he drove Slater's head into the mat. And Slater halfway out of the ring, halfway in. Reed doesn't care. He has a job to do, and that is to continue his assault on Slater. You see Dark Journey in the background trying to encourage Slater to make sure he doesn't give up. She's what's at stake in this particular match. I mentioned before, it is a non-title match, but since this match, Slater has captured the North American title, and he will have to defend it against Jake the Snake on Fan Appreciation Night, Friday, January 24th at the Coliseum. But right now, Slater using those ropes. We've got a 3 count. Tommy Gilbert did not see that Dick Slater was using the bottom ropes. And so as Dick Slater, confident now that he's the winner, starts up the aisle. And you see Dark Journey, they know they better get out of that ringside and fast. Fans are protesting. The referee now, let's hear what the referee has to say.
Slater, you better get Joe Fanning back in the ring, baby, because this match is not over.
So in a rare decision, the referee has decided that the match is indeed still in progress, and he has ordered Slater back into the ring. And Hacksaw Butch Reed and the thousands of Houston wrestling fans were elated with this decision as the referee saw enough evidence that he was convinced that Slater did use the ropes, has ordered this match to be continued, and much to the delight of the fans at the Hacksaw Butch Reed, and much to the disappointment of Dick Slater. You can tell by the look on his face, he does not relish getting back in the ring with Hacksaw Butch Reed. Dark Journey, she's not very happy either. They thought that they had pulled it off, and now Reed letting loose with some of that frustration that he just felt seconds ago when he thought that he had almost lost the match due to some trickery by Slater. And Reed now wants to take full advantage of this match since the ordered continuation by Tommy Gilbert, the referee. And a slapping and now the punches. And Slater, catching the wrath of Hacksaw Butch Reed, tries to retaliate, one after give and take by both men. And as Reed fires up with those soup bone hands of his, one punch after another, he's got Slater, he rears back and lowers the boom. So we've got Slater on the mat, we've got Dark Journey upset, we've got Hacksaw Butch Reed going in for the kill, and a well-placed fist right on the nose of Slater is one of the things Slater needs. That's Dark Journey. Watching close, we've got Slater again trying to use that rope, and this time Tommy Gilbert decides to take matters in his own hands, and as Reed, atomic drops Slater, Slater's in trouble. He has taken a lot of punishment. Reed is on a roll. He's starting to gain the momentum. He drives, and that is what can stop momentum. Hacksaw Butch Reed goes for that faint flying shoulder block of his. He missed, but he still has enough in him to realize that he's got to get out, and he was just one count away. And Tommy Gilbert suffered a shoulder injury right at that point. He went on to referee the match again, but he suffered a severe shoulder injury when Slater went high in the air from the thrust of Hacksaw Butch Reed and then crashed on him. The referee is down. The referee is hurt. Slater is down. Hacksaw Butch Reed is down. And as we roll over, you can see what the fans were claiming, that Dick Slater used something on Hacksaw Butch Reed, and that's exactly what did take place. And Slater was able to win the match, much to the delight of Dark Journey. But I tell you, Dick Slater better be in shape. He better be ready. He is not going to be able to pull anything on Jake the Snake Roberts on Fan Appreciation Night, Friday, January 4th at the Coliseum. Slater, the new North American heavyweight champion, will face Jake the Snake that night, and you don't want to miss it.
Look at this. You know, that looks just about as good as you do, and almost better. Now, let me tell you something right now. I told the people in the Mid-South area when I got here I was going to accomplish something, and now I have accomplished it all. This is the prime title holder of all times. Now, a lot of good men have held this title, but a lot of good men have not put my back down on the mat for it for the 1, 2, 3. And now, Jake the Snake Roberts, the DDT I have to confront to keep this title around my waist. Well, you're not going to DDT me, Jake Roberts, and you're not going to DDT Journey, and you're not going to take this from around my baby's waist because she's going to wear it a long, long time.
But if he does DDT Mr. Slater, we'll have a new champion. Let's hear this from Jake the Snake Roberts.
You see, like me, a guy with my background, a guy with my lifestyle, a guy with my habits, doesn't get a lot of shots at the National Heavyweight Championship. Now, Dick Slater, everybody knows how tough you are, and everybody knows what kind of man you are. And Journey, she does look fine. I'll let you know that right now. But see, she has nothing to do with this. You are the champion for a short time. You see, because when you step in that ring with the Snake, oh man, nobody's going to take me out. There's a long list of fools that thought they were going to take me out. Slater, I'm coming at you. For the gold, my man, for the gold.
Television time remaining. Introducing first the red corner, Broadway Joe Malcolm. Also introducing Gustavo Mendoza. Introducing the blue corner, Al Perez. Also introducing Brett Wayne Sawyer.
Joel is waiting for Carl Berg to call for the bell. There's a very unusual situation, and Brett Wayne Sawyer, the brother of Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer, and he's Al Perez's partner. But Brett Wayne said he does not always approve of what his brother does, and pleased the people to accept him by his own abilities, his own tactics. He doesn't want to wrestle against his brother in either a team situation or a single situation, because blood is thicker than water. But he's here because of the talk about Mid-South, its expansion as far as its education, because of the competition, and because of the possibility of a World's Junior Heavyweight Wrestling Tournament. He's an explosive young man.
He sure is. He's extremely quick.
Of course, Dick Slater, apparently, with Dark Journey at stake, had devious plans to pull it out at all costs, and badgered Butch Reed into putting up the North American title, and Dick Slater is the North American champion. He won the title right here today on television, which really puts an interesting light on the Mid-South television title tournament, because Slater was also scheduled to wrestle Jake the Snake here next week in the finals of the Mid-South television tournament. And of course, the reason we had the tournament is because Butch Reed won the TV title and then won the North American title. And Mid-South has always said that one man can't defend both titles. It's just too strenuous. So here we have next week Slater supposed to be in the finals of that tournament and also being the North American champion. That could really be interesting. I'm sure we'll have to have some meetings a week about that situation just to see what will happen in that final. And of course, Jake the Snake, the man who's worked his way to the finals, will certainly want some input in that situation.
I feel I know Jake the Snake pretty well, and I don't think Jake the Snake would really want to have a bye or a forfeit in the final round. He likes to get out there and compete and hook it up, and he's had his problems with Mr. Unpredictable too. I'm sure he'd like to get him in the ring. Whoa, what a move by Perez.
Nice move by Al Perez. The man that's the master of the belly to back suplex. Joe Malcolm, he like tore Joe Malcolm's shoulder out.
Sure it is, but Perez really on an intense workout schedule.
Next week, Grizzly Smith has just signed Hacksaw Butch Reed against Captain Redneck Dick Murdoch. And you know, it all started with between those two, Reed and Murdoch. When Murdoch took a title and Reed won it from him, So we've already got a match between two top contenders that could be to see who's going to be the first man to go against Dick Slater for that North American title. Also, Terry Taylor against Humongous, plus a six-man tag match, plus some decision on the finals of the Mid-South Television Tournament. So don't miss next week. This could be really an explosive situation. Tag is made. Mendoza. Malcolm in, headlock. Perez, quick tag, it looked like. Perez, Sawyer, power slam. Big move off the top rope. Carl Berge calls for the bell as we have victories here by our tag team.
Al Perez and Brett Wayne Sawyer.
You can see the pretty young ladies in the audience signifying their pleasure with these two good-looking young...
We've also had a lot of defeats. But let me say one thing. The wins have been more than the defeats. Now it's come to the last thing and the most important with you, the fabulous ones. You guys have said and done a lot of things against us, and now it's us against you. It's going to be a Mexican death match. That means that falls don't count, no stopping the match for blood. The referee is outside the ring, 30-second intervals between falls, and we're all going to get down and we're going to do our thing. But let me say one thing. Chavo and I have talked, and we've said one thing, that if we lose this match, our Mexican death match, we are going to leave. That's right. We'll never wrestle again in Houston, and that's the way it's going to be. And let me say one thing, amigos. No va a ser nosotros el que vamos a dar en las torres, esos fabulosos, y necesitamos apoyo.
So here you have it. We have the biggest wrestlers in the game on this card here at the Sam Houston Coliseum tonight, and we have a couple of the smallest wrestlers in the game. Little Coco has stripped himself of his garments, and he's ready for Little Tokyo. So the word little seems a little redundant here, so we're just going to Tokyo and Coco and let it go at that. But if you're like me, you are a midget wrestling fan. Now, both these fellows technically are not midgets, they are dwarfs. But like most people, we just lump all little people into a class that says midget. A midget is a perfectly formed little man, and no misproportion in any of his body. But as I take a second look at Tokyo, who is backing away, I'm just about willing to admit that he looks more like a midget than a dwarf. But that's a technical thing. The thing is, they are both about the same size. They are both veterans of the ring. And I want you to settle back and enjoy what you're about to see. Tokyo here backs away because Coco is a bundle of movement. And of course he keeps moving as a feint, keeps his body going in one direction, so he'll be able to move quickly, swiftly, in another direction. And the argument here with referee Tommy Gilbert is that he didn't break in time. Coco is not about to let an advantage slip by. That's why he was bugging the referee that time. You've got to watch out for Tokyo. Not only is he adept, adroit, clever, but he is a man who is going to keep you thinking about him. And you got to remember that a fall is a fall. To whether it comes to a man who is close to the canvas and he doesn't have that much weight, why, it's just as devastating as the big fellow who falls from the height of 6 feet. Tokyo caught in a headlock. Coco putting the Coco Buster on his Oriental opponent. Tokyo takes great pride when he accomplishes something, but he sometimes has to work hard before he gets into a position to do any throwing over what he can do. And some of the stool pigeon fans are telling the referee that Tokyo is pulling hair. Good thing about Coco is that both ends. Side headlock again, and Gilbert gives the count, but it wasn't necessary past 1.5. Head scissor is the hold, and with Coco's head caught in the short but powerful legs, why, there he is helping him along. A little bit of pressure on the outside, adds a little bit of strength to it. And good work by Coco. Tokyo now is returning some of the non-complimentary remarks that were handed to him by some of the fans. Watch out for this left-handed Japanese. He is an individual you're going to have to beware that you don't meet in a dark alley. He could handle a full-size man under some circumstances. Don't ever sell him short. A lot of Houston fans still remember the night that Dan Love, who was a sportscaster for one of the radio stations in town and then one of the television stations, and then went on network television when he came here and wrestled a midget wrestler for 5 minutes. Well, when it finished, Lord Littlebrook was given compliments for not hurting Dan, but Dan was sure he didn't want to try it again. So Gilbert manhandles his niece, and we've got the twist on the arm. Watch those kicks. Small as he is, he has won honors in the martial arts and deserved every promotion that he got. Oh, man, wouldn't that jar you? He went high in the air, and he hit like the proverbial bag of rice. He hit him right between the eyes. That was a pretty good shot. But Coco's accustomed to using that head of his in his attack. Well, I mentioned his head. Head is not the only weapon. On top is little Coco. There's one. There's two. And there's another one, two. The referee didn't enjoy having people thrown in his arms. He come up that time with the answer, I'll tell you. I'm a midget wrestling fan, and if I bust out laughing, it's a compliment to those two fellas, because I think every sport should be entertainment as well as being good, solid competition. These fellas are both. So Tokyo's looking for the place to put that shot in, and he found it. And again, as he comes whipping around, on top is Tokyo. There's one, there's two, and, well, Gilbert's playing favorites there. One step would have been enough. Standing up to his full. He was treating Tokyo with a little bit of disrespect. And Tokyo is upset. Put your own words. So Tokyo and Coco with a side headlock now for Tokyo on the solid head of Mr. Coco. Oh, man, that was a crash. That was a good one. And he stopped him, he hit him, he knocked him, and down went Tokyo. Tokyo still looking up, trying to find out what he looked for. He's asking the referee if the light was about to fall. Tokyo hasn't caught on yet. So having made sure that the candelabra are firmly tied to the ceiling, he was ready to go to work, but he went in. He's preoccupied now with the lights above. Oh, and that Tokyo, when he lands, he throws in a solid wallop, whether it's using the edge of the hand in a slashing, chopping fashion, or whether he's with that fist of his. He gets a good blow, and that, being left-handed, he comes from an angle that most wrestlers don't expect. Majority of wrestlers are right-handed. And right-headed, too. So Tokyo has toppled, and here is Koko looking to throw him. He might come right at you. Stay where you are. And if yes, here he comes. Almost out of the picture and almost in your lap. The fans are calling for another one. That's the avalanche hold. And the avalanche hold is the one that just tossed him across the ring and landed him with great force. So Tokyo now with that barefooted attack of his. But sometimes some of these barefooted wrestlers have such powerful feet and such a great deal of thick callus on there from the hours and hours they spend barefoot. Why, you begin to wish that they might wear shoes. Retaliation by Koko. And the side headlock. So Koko maneuvering. He got it. He turned him over. There's one. There's two. There's three. Just as slick as can be. Little Koko gets in there with a neat Nelson with his feet and turned him over and held him. And I think Tokyo was more surprised at the suddenness with which it happened than he had a right to be, and he lost the match.
Perez is putting his shoulders to the mat. You see how he's trying to get a quick pin. Tommy Gilbert was right there checking the shoulders, and we've got 2 but no 3. You can see the tights, too. Good shot of how the superstar was using the tights to bring Perez over to his shoulders. Superstar trying to find some way out of this hold. Side headlock has got to be taking its effect on the masked man. He's been under that tight squeeze of Perez for a couple minutes now, as both men are a little bit cautious. Both aware of each other's abilities, and that is why it makes it such a tough match, because neither one wants to make that mistake, that one mistake that could turn out and put them in a position to be defeated, something that the masked superstar very rarely does. And that's very few people have been able to beat the masked superstar. You can see fans now shouting their encouragement to Al Perez as he's climbing slowly to his feet and trying to get back in the ring. Take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about a bunkhouse match. It's a bunkhouse battle royal. It's the first time ever in Houston wrestling history that this is going to take place in the Coliseum. And that's when all wrestlers come dressed as they are into the ring. Now the matches, there'll be 8 matches, and then there'll be a pause as all the wrestlers go to the dressing room, get dressed, and they come into the ring, or whatever to the ring, they're able to use in the Battle Royal. And you keep in mind that that Battle Royal will be for $25,000 to the winner. And that is going to be one of the wildest, most explosive events of 1986. We urge you to get your tickets early, especially take advantage of the general admission balcony special, only $4 as long as they last. Al Perez will be in that bunkhouse battle royal, so will the Masked Superstar. All the wrestlers who are on that star-studded card that night will be involved in the bunkhouse battle royal. And that's a favorite move of the Masked Superstars, a famous move that Johnny Valentine made years ago. The way you drape your opponent across those ropes and then come from the back and clobber him with that forearm, you can get your whole upper body into it. It's a punishing maneuver, and this is one of the ways Masked Superstar is able to win his matches. He is big enough just to literally punish his opponents into submission. You can see the fans start to chant, "Go, Perez, go." And one shoulder block. The second one worked. It sent him far enough in the ring that allowed Al Perez to come in on a fighting stance. And the Masked Superstar now is going to learn a little bit about the temper and the ability of Al Perez, because he is one of those stars who can explode. And when he does, his opponent better beware, because Perez is on top. We've got one. That's all we had. Perez setting him up, coming through, but he charged in a little bit too quick. The Superstar, mentioned before, is a smart veteran, and he saw Perez charging and used that knee to block the charge of Perez. As Tommy Gilbert now administering the 10 count. Once one wrestler's up on his feet, that mandatory 10 count is stopped. And Perez now setting him up again, a flying forearm. And the crowd now cheering Al Perez. They want to see the Superstar beat, and they'd like to see the popular Perez do it. Perez sets him up again, cross body block. We've got one, and we've got two. We've got a Superstar's foot on the ropes. And as Tommy Gilbert explaining to Perez, Perez should have paid a little bit more attention to the Superstar. Now Perez puts his foot in. That third count came down anyway. Tommy Gilbert didn't see Perez's foot on the ropes just right after he saw the Superstars. And you can see some of the frustration in Al Perez as well as the Houston Wrestling fans. Al Perez upset, and he has a right to be. The Masked Superstar using that superior ring knowledge, but I tell you, he better come into the ring with more than knowledge when he teams with Dick Murdoch. Taking place between Chavo and Hector Guerrero, and the fabulous one, Steve Kern, who you see in your picture right now, and up in the ring, his partner is Stan Lane. But it was Steve Kern who ripped across the eyes of Hector Guerrero, the younger brother of Chavo, who Chavo now trying to lead his brother back to the ring. Chavo and Hector Guerrero, one of the best tag teams in wrestling today, up against the fabulous ones who have a great reputation of their own. And this war between the Guerreros and the fabulous ones have busted loose the last couple months here in Houston wrestling, and it's got to come to an end this Friday night. Right there, Hector Guerrero coming up with that kick to send the Stan Lane sprawling to the mat. The referee administering the 10 count. But Steve Kern and Stan Lane, they work well as a tag team. They may be controversial. You may not like their style, but you've got to give them an A for effective teamwork, because that's exactly what they're able to do. Much to the same effect as Chavo and Hector Guerrero, who have been wrestling since age 5. So their father, Gory Guerrero, used to get them on the mat and teach them wrestling, and they wrestled amateur wrestling all through the grade schools, high school, and college. They've made their mount marked in professional wrestling. And this advantage that they have, this great asset of being able to wrestle together, which they've done all their lives, has made them a tag team to be reckoned with. But when you put the Guerreros in a tag team battle, you're asking for trouble, because they're double tough. You put them in a Mexican death match, and you're asking for double, triple trouble, because as the Guerreros have proven through the years, they can win in tag battles and in Mexican death matches. They're almost impossible to beat, and that's what the Fabulous Ones are going to find out this Friday night. So the switch was made without the illegal tag, and Tommy Gilbert was so busy trying to get Chavo out of the ring. The Fabulous Ones, with their tag team experience, was able to take advantage of the referee temporarily being out of position. And the hold now is reverse chinlock. Steve Keirn and Stan Lane. They have their eyes set on that $25,000 in the Bunkhouse Battle Royal. And you're looking at 4 men who may have a big advantage, because really you're looking at teams, because Chavo and Hector Guerrero plan to work together in that Bunkhouse Battle Royal, much to the fact that Steve Keirn and Stan Lane. And they said $25,000 is a lot of money, and to split it 50-50, you're still talking a lot of money. Side kick by Stan Lane sends Hector out on the concrete floor. This match took place in the Sam Houston Coliseum just a few weeks ago. The Coliseum, the home of Houston Wrestling. And as Hector sprawled out on the concrete floor, uses that ring barricade to try to bring himself back up. Meanwhile, the referee is administering the 20 count, but when something like that happens, where the wrestler comes out and steps on the man who is receiving the count, the referee has to start completely over. And Hector Guerrero, after catching that boot by Steve Keirn, Chavo trying to bring his brother back around. There's one other wrestling Guerrero, Mondo Guerrero, who's on the West Coast. Mondo Guerrero is involved in a lot of movie making these days and has temporarily put his wrestling career on a short absence, but Hector and Chavo are going full guns, and they are making a determined drive to bring themselves up to the top, to the kingpins in tag team wrestling. And one of the stepping stones that they're going to have to use in order to reach their goal is they've got to make it through the Fabulous Ones in that Mexican death match. It's a crucial match for both teams. Reputations will be on the line, so will careers. And again, the referee arguing with Chavo, Stan Lane choking Hector Guerrero as they continue to demonstrate that ability to have that sense of feeling when the referee's not looking to take full advantage of the situation. And that is what's kept Hector and Chavo Guerrero off balance during this portion of the match. Up high in the air as Steve Keirn back on that back suplex, and Steve Keirn is a well-conditioned athlete. Both of the Fabulous Ones are. They spent a lot of time in the gym, and he almost got the count on Hector, but that was Chavo's boot that you saw come into the screen and knocked Steve Keirn away. Keirn now trying to another reverse chin lock, but he's got to be careful. You see how he's trying to block it from the referee. That's a hold that you can very easily slip into a chokehold. As now he's just trying to hold on to Hector. Hector squeezes out, but Keirn setting him up and goes right back to him. Now he's got a sleep hold. Beautifully applied sleep hold by Keirn, and he starts to use that strength of his upper body to put the squeeze to Hector. You can see the results on Hector's on the sleep hold. The longer this hold's applied, the tougher it gets, as Steve Keirn trying to cut off the flow of blood to the brain of Hector to put him into the state of unconsciousness. You can see the referee checking the arm. Once the referee feels that Hector has lost his sense of where he's at, he will call for the bell, but Hector gives a signal not only to the referee, to the fans, that he is not ready to submit. And you can see him reaching out in desperation. A tough position for Hector Guerrero. Keirn continues to pour it to him. The referee continues to check the arm. Chavo outside, concerned. He knows that Hector's got to find a way out of this hold, and he's got to find it soon, because it's having its effect. You can see Hector. Now Steve Keirn, for some reason, thought he had won the match. He thought the referee had pulled, let the arm fall for the third time, and normally a referee would call for the bell. So Steve Keirn a little bit upset right now and decides now to go to reverse chin lock. This is a good hold to complement that sleep hold. You can just see Stan Lane shout into Hector's ear, give up. But what Hector did instead is he chopped down on top of Keirn's finger, and as Stan Lane found a way to get that grip off of that finger by using that driving elbow. Lane setting him up. Comes out with a vicious clothesline. The way Hector's head snapped back and hit the mat. And Hector is fighting back, whether it's on instinct or he still has enough ability to try to keep a status quo in this match. Both the Fabs are trying to put the final blow, the coup de grace on Hector Guerrero. Not want to see him tag his brother Chavo. Now, as Hector used his weight to kick over on the momentum, he wasn't able to get a pin, but what he was able to do is get a temporary rest from that attack of the Fabs. In comes Keirn, and as Gilbert issuing the warning to Stan Lane to get out of the ring, you can see a few good, well-executed sit-outs by Hector. He just wants to keep moving. He doesn't want the Keirn to be able to grab him, and that's the effect. That's what Hector Guerrero wanted. He wanted the ability to come in and release his brother Chavo, who's been resting and waiting on the outside, wait for his opportunity, and Chavo explodes into the ring, and as he sends both Fabs looking for safety, he now tags Hector. And both men are in the ring. We have all four. If you think this is wild, you can imagine what would happen if you had 20 men in that ring battling for $25,000. So Chavo, who made the legal tag with Hector. Hector's on top, but there's no count. The referee is not counting the shoulders of the Fab to the mat. And as Stan Lane quickly comes in, he pulls Steve Keirn out. He now is underneath Hector, who is trying to hold on to the pin, but you've got to remember Hector was involved in that head-on collision, and they pulled the switch. A switch has been pulled. Tommy Gilbert's not aware of it. Hector's not aware of it. He's holding, and the switch didn't work. The switch didn't work as Hector held on and wrapped him up in a small cradle, and you've got to believe that a lot of that was just on pure instinct on wrestling on Hector's part.
21 minutes and 6 seconds.
The Guerreros are winners of the match, and the Fabs are not happy at all. They thought that they were going to turn the match their way with that switch. They set up Hector, double elbow. Chavo comes in with a chair. And remember the Mexican death match, when these same four men battled this Friday night in the Coliseum. There are no rules. A Mexican death match between these same four men. Be at the Coliseum. There's so much going on, and you do not want to miss Fan Appreciation Night, Friday night, Sam Houston Coliseum.
Obviously, with the new North American heavyweight champion, Mr. Unpredictable Dick Slater. And in just a few moments, the finals of the Mid-South Television Tournament will be held, of which Mr. Slater is a finalist. He'll be going against the man with the DDT, Jake the Snake Roberts, in just a few moments. At this point in time, I think we need to address the situation surrounding this North American title. In my opinion, is a very controversial victory against Butch Reed.
Hey, I am standing here. I am a better man than Butch Reed. I've always been a better man than Butch Reed. And that is why I'm standing here for the North American Heavyweight Championship. Now, in the past, Mid-South had a ruling that if you held the North American Heavyweight Championship, you couldn't hold the television championship. Well, I made that ruling a little bit different. First of all, I demanded, Grizzly Smith, I demanded that I fought my way all the way from the beginning of this television tournament to the end. I am the finalist. I will take and wrestle Jake the Snake Roberts for the television title match. I demanded the match, and I received the match, and I will wrestle Jake the Snake for the television title match.
Ladies and gentlemen, those comments...
I'll take them both. I'll take them both. I've never been a greedy man. I'll be both the television winner and the North American Heavyweight Champion.
All right, I think you made your point quite clear, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have that match right after this timeout.
Okay, 1 fall or television time remaining for the Mid-South television title. Introducing from Tampa, weighing 238 pounds, Dick Slater. The current North American champion, also Dark Journey. And introducing from Atlanta, Georgia, the man with the DDT, Jake the Snake Roberts.
Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a long, grueling battle for these two men, but they have both reached it. Slater's attacking Jake Roberts. Remember, this is the finals of the Mid-South television tournament. A long, grueling grind. Both these men in the finals. Slater, the controversial, the current North American champion. Joe, this match has started off with a tremendous amount of animosity, a tremendous amount of physical confrontation. We knew it would be just exactly this way.
Slater fires Jake the Snake right out. I think Jake the Snake might have been a little bit overconfident. The ovation from that crowd was so deafening, I'm sure he couldn't hear Dick Slater sneaking up from behind on him and taking advantage. Slater will use every single dirty trick in the book to try to get ahead in his matches, as he does so often. That's why they call him Mr. Unpredictable. Slater, blatant right crosses to the forehead.
Well, Dick Slater has long been known for one of the most physical men, one of the most brutal men in professional wrestling, a man that has developed so many coup de grace type maneuvers. Dick Slater and, of course, Jake Roberts with a consummate hold, the DDT, as this capacity crowd in Tulsa, Oklahoma, they're voicing their pleasure, but Slater turning the tide and swinging back to his favor as Jake Roberts normally controlling the tempo, Joel. But, of course, right now at this point in time, obviously, he is definitely on the defensive.
Well, let me tell you, when Slater gets on the offensive, he stays on it. He knows how to change gears and really lay into you. He's relentless there. He's using the tights. He's so discreet, so wily, a fantastic tactician. Whether you agree with it or not, the way he gets it accomplished is effective nonetheless. And he just nailed Jake the Snake on the outside of the ring. You could see Dark Journey there. As my father said last week, there's not much between your eyes and her skin. It's just about an R-rated outfit. Listen to this crowd. Go, Jake, go.
Slater with a tremendous counter maneuver. Jake was set for it looked like to elevate Slater, but Slater with a neck breaker. Slater has mastered, I think, every maneuver in professional wrestling. And he's got as mean a streak in him as any athlete that has ever stepped in the squared circle. He is a volatile individual, a very unpredictable man, hence the name Mr. Unpredictable.
Even in speaking with him sometimes, it seems like he'll be keeping a train of thought and then just go off on a tangent. And I think his wrestling style is kind of the same way, too. The person that he's going against can really never follow an established line of moves. They have to be waiting for anything at any time. The least expected.
That's exactly right, Joel. And Slater was trying to set Jake the Snake for the pile driver. But Jake elevated Slater out of that predicament, and we've got both men. This has been such a physical match, Joel, from the outset. The finals of the Mid-South Television Championship Tournament right here before this crowd of over 9,000 people in the Tulsa Center.
Oh, Slater missed it. Slater went for the atomic drop, and he missed it. I think that's the move Jake needs to turn the tide, but Jake's hurt, too.
Smith there, the Mid-South official at the ring. This match so important, ladies and gentlemen, for the championship, Mid-South Television Championship, and Jake Roberts is firing back. The momentum is changing. Whoa! This capacity crowd loves the man with a DDT.
You just hammered him. Listen to these people. Knee lift. Jake the Snake throws such a powerful knee lift. Oh, Dark Journey. Dark Journey had better watch yourself. He had better watch yourself.
Joe, I think Jake's made a very very severe error, a tactical error in that situation. Dark Journey obviously interfered, but he's got to keep his mind on his business in that squared circle. Slater has seized this moment and has turned the tides once again on Jake Roberts.
Once again, we see that outside influence becoming a factor. First, Dark Journey is pretty easy to notice.
Jake reverses the DDT. This crowd is going crazy. They're standing. 1, 2, 3. We've got a new Mid-South Television champion. The man with a DDT. The Snake Brothers. Jubilation. 9,000 people standing in the Tulsa Convention Center. And we'll be back with more exciting Mid-South action right after this work.
A guy like me, a guy with my background, a guy with my lifestyle, a guy with my habits, doesn't get a lot of shots at the National Heavyweight Championship. Now, Dick Slater, everybody knows how tough you are, and everybody knows what kind of man you are. And Journey, she does look fine. I'll let you know that right now. But see, she has nothing to do with this. You are the champion. For a short time. You see, because when you step in that ring with the Snake, well, man, nobody's going to take me out. There's a long list of fools that thought they were going to take me out. Slater, I'm coming at you. For the gold, my man, for the gold.
You know, that looks just about as good as you do, and almost better. Now, let me tell you right now, I told the people in the Mid-South area when I got here I was going to accomplish something, and now I have accomplished it all. This is the prime title holder of all times. Now, a lot of good men have held this title, but a lot of good men have not put my back down on the mat for it for the 1, 2, 3. And now, Jake the Snake Roberts, the DDT I have to confront to keep this title around my waist. Well, you're not going to DDT me, Jake Roberts, and you're not going to DDT Journey, and you're not going to take this from around my baby's waist because she's going to wear it a long, long time.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next match, a one-fall or television time remaining. Introducing first in the red corner, 260 pounds from St. Petersburg, Florida, Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer. And from Texas, weighing 212 pounds, Steve Dahl.
Well, most certainly, ladies and gentlemen, young Steve Dahl, a rookie, 19-year-old rookie from the state of Texas, is in for the toughest test of his young career, Joel. I think I can make that statement. I think everyone would agree with me there because the Mad Dog is exactly that. He is an animal. And we saw him last week against Perry Jackson completely annihilate that fine young athlete. And he's taking right the same stance, the same style here against young Steve Dahl.
He's rubbing Dahl's face in the mat. Power slam, or a slight version of it, I guess. A hard chop. Buzz Sawyer is so relentless, so punishing.
Very unusual looking boots he's got on, Joel. I don't know how to really to describe the footwear that Buzz Sawyer is wearing. Needless to say, Sawyer goes to the clothesline.
A gutsy move on Dahl's part. He went for the high-risk move, and he got it. But Sawyer is going to make sure and try and not let that embarrassment go unrevenged. He goes right back after Steve Dahl and continues the onslaught. He has Dahl up. Looks like he's setting for that second rope power slam. Steve Dahl is in a world of trouble.
Well, Sawyer, he's got him, Joel. He's got him nailed 1, 2, and 3. He power slammed him in the second rope. That'll put anybody down. Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer.
Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer.
Let's keep it right here.
Sawyer, the winner of the match. Last week we saw, wait a minute. Sawyer, we saw him do this last week. He was disqualified for it against Perry Jackson. This is completely uncalled for.
Well, it's an automatic disqualification. Sawyer's going to get disqualified again, ladies and gentlemen. His actions after the match have got to be controlled. We'll be back with more. Oh, wait just a second.
Sawyer looks like he's going out to the top rope. Oh, no. Oh, no. We got to get some help down here. Steve Dahl is just being manhandled. Listen to the crowd. Listen to the crowd.
Hacksaw Butch Reed is there on the scene. Wait a minute, there's Dick Murdoch.
Dick Murdoch, Dick.
Murdoch and Reed are scheduled to wrestle next, ladies and gentlemen. Murdoch's looking like he's trying to set Reed up for that brainbuster. Wait a minute! No! He bounced it right off the concrete. Murdoch has gone insane once again right here on the outside of the ring, and Reed is seriously hurt. Hacksaw Reed is seriously hurt. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. We'll be right back after this.
Hello, all you wrestling fans in Houston, Texas. Hot Stuff is happy today. You understand why? It's because I've been down to a Western store. I've been down to the store because there's going to be a big fight in Houston, Texas. There's going to be 20 men in a battle royal for $25,000, and it's a little unique and a little different because it's Bunkhouse rules. And in the Bunkhouse rules match, you wear your cowboy boots, and you can wear your blue jeans, you can carry a big old belt, and you can hit anybody you want to with anything you want. Thing goes. It's going to be a fight, and believe me, Hot Stuff can figure out a way to win it, and I will.
Yeah, Houston, Texas. You know, you in Houston, Texas, everything always wild and woolly. But let me tell you, this is the match, brother, a lot of people hadn't been in. I hadn't been in too many myself. Called the bunkhouse match. Come just like you are, brother. I'd like to come out there with a pair of program with steel spikes on them, anything. But let me tell you, a bunkhouse match with $25,000, maybe 20 people in the match. Brother, you tell me the fight. But look, one of the fans I got, it's too rough. So let me tell you, Houston, oh, it's going to be in the night.
You know, I just came back from talking to Dickie Slater, and Dickie's on his way to come have this interview right now. But in the meantime, I figured I might as well take up the airtime. You know, Dickie Slater and myself have made a pact that we, together, united, 2 for 1 and 1 for 2, stand in our back-to-back, and we're going to win that bunkhouse brawl, and we're going to take the $25,000 and split it. And in case you people can't figure it out, that's $12.5 apiece, and then we are going to honky-tonk.
You've heard from some of the superstars.
Next scheduled match was scheduled to be Hacksaw Butch Reed against Dick Murdoch. However, if you were watching in the previous segment during a match between Buzz Sawyer and Steve Dahl, Buzz Sawyer was unrelentless. He would not quit beating on Steve Dahl even after the match was over. He was disqualified. Hacksaw Butch Reed came down to try and remedy to the situation, and Dick Murdoch was right on his heels, attacked him from behind, and brainbusted him on the concrete. Let's go back and take a quick look at that if you've just joined us. Oh, no! We got to get some help down here. Steve Dahl is just being manhandled. Listen to the crowd. Listen to the crowd.
Hacksaw Butch Reed is there on the scene. Wait a minute, there's Dick Murdoch.
Dick Murdoch, Dick.
Murdoch and Reed are scheduled to wrestle next, ladies and gentlemen. Murdoch's looking like he's trying to set Reed up for that brainbuster. Wait a minute, no! He bounced it right off the concrete. Murdoch has gone insane once again right here on the outside of the ring, and Reed is seriously hurt.
Hacksaw Butch Reed very badly injured by Dick Murdoch, being brainbusted on the concrete. We don't yet know the full extent of his injuries, but he is unable to wrestle in this match. However, we do have a substitute match. Jim?
It should be a great one, ladies and gentlemen, and obviously we'll keep you updated on the progress of Hacksaw Butch Reed. Let's go to the ring announcer, Mike Wilson.
Introducing our next match. 1 fall, or television time remaining. At 225 pounds, every girl's dream, Hot Stuff, Eddie. Also in the ring corner, his manager, Sir Oliver Humperdinck. pounds, Tommy Wright.
Fine young athletes, ladies and gentlemen, as we prepare to continue here on Mid-South Wrestling. Jim Ross and Joe Watts with you here. And as we said, really, words can't describe our feeling right now, and our thoughts and our prayers are with Hacksaw Butch Reed as to the unprovoked attack by Dick Murdoch. But be that as it may, we do have two fine young athletes, Joel, in the ring, and one that I have said on many occasions, he has the biggest ego in professional wrestling, and I'm talking specifically about Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert.
Well, we've seen Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert go through many stages here in the Mid-South. He first came in, teamed with the Nightmare. He left him. They got back together as a team. They gained the Mid-South Tag Team Championships. And let me tell you, Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert has got to be, next to Dr. Death, probably one of the most improved wrestlers in Mid-South. And I think one of the main reasons for that is the fact that he has learned how to implement that hot shot. What a punishing hold that is.
And we have seen him using so effectively in the last several weeks as he has put together a very impressive winning streak. Gilbert weighed in at 225, Wright at 226. Both men obviously very similar in size. Gilbert, former Pro Wrestling Rookie of the Year, a little bit more experienced, and Wright is certainly not intimidated by the laurels achieved by the Hot Stuff Sir Oliver Humperdinck.
Well, I tell you, there are a lot of great young junior heavyweights coming into the Mid-South. There you see Sir Oliver Humperdinck. But I tell you, that they're all vying for that, the Mid-South World's Junior Heavyweight that's getting ready to be established. But this man right here, Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, has established himself in this territory, and he's going to be a tough man to beat. I think he's got to be one of the top candidates for that junior heavyweight title because he competes so well with the heavyweights as well. Kind of like Terry Taylor in that aspect. However, Terry, of course, out of the range of the junior heavyweight contention. I don't feel like he needs to even be in it because he's definitely got to be a candidate for the North American heavyweight title, having once held it. He defeated the Nightmare soundly on Mid-South last week. Whoa, it looks like he went for that hot shot, but he didn't quite have the distance on it. And you know, that's the first time I've seen that hot shot actually put Gilbert in danger. This is kind of a new aspect to it. Gilbert caught him again. That's it.
A devastating maneuver, the hot shot by Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert and Sir Oliver Humperdinck's arrogant young man racks up another victory here in Mid-South Wrestling, and we'll be back, ladies and gentlemen, with Terry Taylor versus Humongous after this word from the exciting Mid-South Sports Television Network. Ladies and gentlemen, this coming Friday night, Sam Houston Coliseum.
See, this man right here is probably one of the greatest athletes today in the world. Not only a professional wrestler, a mass superstar. And I called him long distance, asked him to come in here to help me settle one thing. The DiBiase and Dr. Death Steve Williams feud. And I'll guarantee you what, this man right here, Steve Williams, has got more credentials than you've ever thought about having.
You know, I don't have to worry about Dick Murdoch. All he wants me to do is keep you out of there, Doctor. You picked up a nickname by bumping heads in football. Well, you and I are going to bump heads in the ring. And this man's going to take care of you, DiBiase. No more crying, no more phone calls. When he gets you all by yourself, because, Dr. Death, you're going to be having your hands full with me. You're not going to be involved in the match. It's just going to be Ted and Murdoch.
He's internationally known around the world. He says he's in Mid-South for a reason. He's on a mission, but he's not going to tell anybody. Well, I know you're a mass superstar, and I know what your mission is. You're a bounty hunter. You're a man that goes to the highest bidder. You try to end people's career, break their legs, break their necks, and send them their own way. And nobody knows what that's about better than Ted DiBiase, because, yes, I've been there. But I've learned a valuable lesson, Dick Murdoch, because of you. Because when I was laying flat on my back, not knowing whether I'd ever wrestle again, because you tried to take my livelihood away from me, I found out that money's not everything, and you can't buy friends. I'm going to tell you something, Murdoch. What goes around comes around. And, brother, you're around. And, superstar, this is what you got to handle right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing our next match, one fall for television time remaining. Weighing 300
Ladies and gentlemen, here we are. What a tremendous matchup we have here for you in Mid-South Wrestling. Thank you very much for being with us. To the top athletes in professional wrestling is 320 pounds. One of the most awesome forces in professional wrestling. A man with tremendous strength going against the sensational Terry Taylor. Joe, this should be a classic matchup.
Both men went into the collar and elbow tie-up, a very basic wrestling move. I think Terry Taylor has the disadvantage in that situation because Humongous outweighs him and is probably a little bit stronger than Taylor. But Taylor's used to that. Taylor's a specialist when it comes to being outweighed, a little bit outsized. He knows how to handle it. He's a strategist. Whoa, he meets the mask of Humongous.
Terry Taylor very aggressive at the outset of this contest, but Humongous, once again, that mask coming into be a very important factor. As Humongous now trying to take over and is doing so on Terry Taylor.
Terry Taylor definitely has his hands full in this match. I'm sure, though, Terry Taylor, let me tell you, is a brilliant thinker in the ring. And in my opinion, one of the finest ring thinkers in the country today. However, I am sure that he has a strategy worked out for Humongous.
Well, he's going to go somewhere besides the head, Joe, because that mask is there. Taylor went at the elbow. You know, I admire Terry Taylor wholeheartedly, but there again, you can't attack that headgear. Jake the Snake Roberts will tell you that one. It just won't work. And Humongous now, using his bulk and his strength.
He's that big leg. He went after that Shinonamaki. You can tell Taylor scouted him. He got it out of that one quick. Anyway, he goes after that mask.
I think he stuck his fingers in the eye hole, Joe. Humongous really reeling there. Looked to me like that's what he...
Looks to me like Terry's fighting fire with fire. I love it. Terry is... Oh, he's setting off those ropes. It looked like he was going for that big forearm. But I think there you're looking at the culprit. The camera's going to come. Yeah! Wrestle in this crowd. Taylor comes off the rope with his big forearm. He hit him with the forearm. He covers him up. He's got him. Yeah!
The 5-arm of Terry Taylor. He called it the 5-arm. And 9,000 strong roaring their approval. Terry Taylor, what a victory. And we'll be back with 6-man tag team action.
Taylor comes in here from the superstation trying to be a big shot. Hey, brother, I've been to superstation too. I don't have to come nowhere and try to be a big shot to nobody. What I like about you, Terry Taylor, you got your name signed on the dotted line. You got me excited too. You got your name signed down there. I can't even talk. I'm so happy. What's it going to be like when I take that pretty head of hair and I take them pretty little eyes of yours and I stick them down in the mat and I start rubbing them out in all the little grills of ringside. Starting on Terry Taylor, my idol, my hero. I ain't in there to make it look pretty. I'm in there to do some harm. Come on, Terry Taylor.
And now let's hear this from Terry Taylor.
I'd like to say a very special hello to all my friends back in the Mid-South area. And yes, I'm back, and I'm back home to stay. I appreciate all the cards and letters, people saying, please, just not the same. And I wasn't the same without you, and I appreciate you all sending your love and your letters. And if I ever needed your support, I'm going to against this guy, Buzz Sawyer. Everybody knows what the Mad Dog can do, but they never know what he's going to do and when. The guy always has that unpredictable nature about him. He'll do anything to win a match. And the guy he's just like he's crazy. He's got all the physical gifts, and he is very... I tell you, he's a blessed man when it comes to his ability in wrestling, but the guy just up here and maybe just a little bit short. So, Sawyer, when I go into the ring against you, I know that you're going to do anything. So I'm going to be armed with that knowledge, and I'll do exactly the same thing. The people have seen me. I've never backed down from a fight. So if you want to wrestle, we'll wrestle. If you want to fight, we'll do it all night long.
Using the red corner, J.R. Hogg. The Nightmare. And Broadway Joe Malcolm.
and gentlemen, six-man tag team action here on Mid-South Wrestling. Thank you very much for staying with us. As referee Carl Fergie calls for the bell, it's going to be the Nightmare against Brett Sawyer, the younger brother of Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer, starting out the competition here in the six-man tag action.
Well, we're starting it out with a classic matchup. Strength and size against speed and agility. I tell you, there's not many people that are going to outquick Brett Sawyer. His brother Buzz is one of the quickest big men I've ever seen. And Brett, I'm telling you, he's like grease lightning out there.
Right up to his feet. So very quick. And you know, Joel, the interesting thing about this situation, and I've heard this a long time, I just met Brett Sawyer recently, he's really a nice person. He's very talk with, he's very personable, and it makes you stop and think, what happened to Buzz? Because, you know, he's an animal. He has no regard for anyone, and his brother is the difference in night and day. Ricky Gibson, the brother of Robert Gibson, Rock and Roll Express, and there with Broadway Joe Malcolm, and now Al Perez has been tagged in. Very impressed, Joe. The Gibson, Sawyer, Perez trio are operating very effectively here on Mid-South Wrestling.
I think what they need to do is slow it down and concentrate on that classic tag team strategy and keep that one man in the ring. You know, if you just joined us, wrestling fans, a lot of things have happened so far. Hacksaw Butch Reed was injured earlier in the hour by Dick Murdoch. We also crowned a new television champion, Jake the Snake Roberts. And we'll be taking a look here in just a moment at how that match was, thanks to slow motion instant replay by SPN Productions. Ricky Gibson with a really, really hard drop kick. He just about took the head off of Broadway Joe. Hard arm whip into the corner, and man, look at this. These guys are really showing some great teamwork. J.R. Hogg into the ring now. And Ricky Gibson shows him a thing or two. Welcome to the Mid-South, Mr. Hogg. Ricky Gibson is cleaning house.
Well, I must say that J.R. Hogg's one of the most grotesque individuals I've ever seen in the wrestling ring. Look at this, tremendous strength. Hogg's got to weigh around 300 pounds, Joel, and Al Perez scooped him right up.
Perez is extremely powerful.
And he's another athlete, Joel, that's really improving. You can see that great improvement week to week.
Perez tried to fire him up. Perez, yeah, he connects it up. Look at body press. Not quite as much impact as I'm sure he might have wanted to deliver in that, but nonetheless, he got it down for the lateral press. Perez, Gibson, and Sawyer are controlling their opponents quite well.
They certainly are. They are great classic tag team strategy. Quick tags, keeping their opponent in their half of the ring. Inside drop cradle, nice maneuver by Ricky Gibson. Can he get him 1-2? Hall got that shoulder up and rolls up. Hall's got a lot of bulk, Joel.
Sure does.
Big, big man.
Coming up next, we'll have Ted DiBiase in single action going up against newcomer Gustavo Mendoza. So don't go away. A lot of great action coming up. Listen to this crowd. They're getting behind Ricky Gibson. Fantastic crowd, like you said, Jim. 9,000 plus, packed to the hilt here at the Tulsa Convention Center. I'm really proud to be here to be part of the #1 rated syndicated sports product. I love it. Oh, a Nightmare with a high elevation on Ricky Gibson. He's going down. And, oh, Brett Sawyer came in and touched the Nightmare, but Carl Fergie was distracted. And it's a good thing he was, because that might have been a disqualification. Brett Sawyer, a very, very risky move on the part of his teammates. But that's the kind of heart that Brett Sawyer has. He's the kind of guy that can come from the depths. He's got a lot of heart. Perez in now with those really hard, shocking rights. Forearm!
Boy, we got a pair 6 brawl breaking out here in Tulsa. All 6 men in the ring. Referees having a hard time controlling this situation.
Oh, look at this! What timing! Belly to back, and look at that! 300 belly to back!
Yes, sir! Yes, sir! Al Perez, Ricky Gibson, and Brett Sawyer victorious, and this tremendous crowd loved it.
Edwards, the television champion. Right here you see it. Just about to be a vertical back suplex. Jake the Snake stops it, reverses it, DDT. I love it. A new television champion. Now let's go for an exciting interview from Mid-South Wrestling Television Network, and we'll be back with Ted DiBiase in action.
Television time remaining. Introducing first in the red corner from Cuba, weighing 258 pounds, Gustavo Mendoza. And introducing in the blue corner from Omaha, Nebraska, 252 pounds, Ted DiBiase.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Cuban assassin Gustavo Mendoza going against Ted DiBiase here on Mid-South Wrestling. Jim Ross and Joel Watts with you here, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the beautiful Tulsa Convention Center. 9,000 plus people here this particular time, and it's, I tell you, Mid-South Wrestling is getting so popular. The fans are finding this the most exciting professional wrestling that there is, and we certainly appreciate everyone's support at home and in the arenas. We certainly appreciate you. You are what make the Mid-South Sports Network click.
Ted DiBiase with a clean break ropes. Probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, technical wrestler in professional wrestling today. Now, Gustavo Mendoza comes to us with high credentials. However, he's never been to the Mid-South area before. And I think if he could stick around, if he could weather the competition, and he's going to find that he'll improve quite a bit, but nonetheless, he's going up against one of the best that Mid-South has to offer, or one of the best actually in professional wrestling today. Many people have even ranked his wrestling ability as that above Ric Flair's. I think definitely Ted DiBiase, had he not been through the circumstances that he was recently, I think he could have taken that title from Flair.
No doubt about that. That's a great point, Joel. Ted DiBiase, there you see him. He's back in action. He's in tremendous condition, and he and Dr. Steve Williams, the current Mid-South Tag Team Champions. But you know this Mendoza, Joel, he's a very impressive-looking athlete. He's in good condition, and I have heard from the reports that I have received, he has a very, very vicious mean streak. This man has some skills, I think, that we'll see in the upcoming weeks. But coming from Cuba, living in that environment and being proud of it, I think that's pretty much enough said. Coming to America, trying to make a name against American athletes, and he's in there against one of the greatest of all time, as a matter of fact, from Omaha, Nebraska, Ted DiBiase.
Jim, you're right. Gustavo does have quite a bit of potential. He's got the size, he's got the strength to be able to make it here in the Mid-South. It's just a question of how and when. You got to get out there and you got to wrestle those matches. You got to put your boots on. You got to be ready to go. Right now we're looking at a top wrist lock. Gustavo went to pull DiBiase's hair, and DiBiase, no stranger to rule breaking, of course, goes back and returns the favorite kind. He pulls Gustavo out with a big hip toss, drop kick. Whoa, Gustavo was knocked into that top rope, loses his balance. It goes all the way out over to the concrete floor. DiBiase poised and ready for him, though. DiBiase is always on the lookout.
You know, Joe, Mendoza pulled his hair 3 times. So I think, you know, DiBiase was justified in his actions. Mendoza trying to take some shortcuts because of his experience, he realizes he's in there with the master technician.
And what a feather!
He's got to take a shortcut or two.
What a feather in his cap it would be if he could catch a fall on this great superstar. DiBiase with that foot to the side of the face. He's managing to control Mendoza. Body slam.
Joel, I understand, you know, some of the biggest names in all of wrestling coming to the Mid-South area in the upcoming weeks, and that includes one of the most dynamic tag teams in the country, Stan Lane and Steve Kerr. And I understand that we may see an appearance from them on our next program.
Yes, and if we have time today, I have a video on them that I'd like to close out the program with if we have enough time. This match, of course, for one fall or TV time remaining. Mendoza takes DiBiase into the turnbuckles. Mendoza, even though DiBiase has managed to control the match, is making a good showing for himself. He hammers DiBiase with an elbow. Russian foot sweep. He's attacking that head and neck area of DiBiase, which I'm sure is still got to be suffering from that brain busting he took on the concrete floor from Dick Murdoch. Speaking of that situation, well, here we go! Power slam! Power slam! Ted DiBiase locks up that figure four. He's got it locked up. Mendoza is being asked if he wants to give it up. Dick Murdoch came into the ring. Dick Murdoch came into the ring. Tommy Gilbert called for the bell. It's an automatic disqualification. Murdoch is hammering DiBiase.
Piston fire, Murdoch and DiBiase toe to toe.
It's toe to toe. People love it.
And there's a masked superstar.
Come on, Wood. We gotta get some help down here before something drastic happens. Dick Murdoch is in the ring spine. Come on, Ted. Hear the roar of the crowd. Dr. Death has come to the ring. Now we're gonna see things even out.
Oklahoma versus Texas. Look at that suited around. He's taking it to the Longhorn. And DiBiase's got the superstar in the corner. It's pandemonium and 9,000 are standing.
We're gonna have to close. We will show you a little bit somebody that's coming your way, the fabulous ones. And until then, Jim, it's been a great hour.
Ladies and gentlemen, for Joel Watts, I'm Jim Ross. We'll see you next week right here on Mid-South Wrestling.
$1,000 the last time. Now let's get it straight. A bunkhouse battle royal? This has got to be dangerous. I've heard about everybody come in here, going down to Kmart, buying a pair of cowboy boots. They're going to wear those in there. Well, let me tell you something. I wear cowboy boots every day of the year, so it's nothing new to me. But I'm going to have me a surprise uniform on. And you, Paul Bush, are you Terry Taylor, are you Steve Williams, and especially you, DiBiase, you're not stopping the redneck.
Spurs on him. I might have a big cowboy belt with a buckle on it. But one thing's for sure, Dick Murdoch, somewhere in them 20 people, I'm going to find you. $25,000 is a lot of money. Yeah, I've had an attitude adjustment. I've changed a little bit, but I can still be mean and nasty when I want to be. And in this kind of match, you got to be. And one other thing I got in my favor, I've got Dr. Death in my corner, and we're still a team. $25,000, a lot of money. Okay. Bunkhouse Brawl, $25,000. Come as you are. You know something, I might just dress up in my football gear and bring back old Mr. Helmet. One thing I want to tell you something, Dick Murdoch. I'm going to have my eyes on you, and I'm going to have my eyes on Ted DiBiase. I'm going to back him up 100%. And that $25,000 for 2 tag team partners, that's going to be very, very nice.
You put between tough Dick Murdoch, the popular Ted DiBiase. That's Ted DiBiase, the man who's on the receiving end of that vicious elbow by Murdoch. A good close-up shot as we are joining this match already in progress, and it was a hard-fought battle. These two men are big, they're tough, and on top of all that, they really don't care too much about each other. In fact, Ted DiBiase has vowed to even the score against Dick Murdoch, and he will get his opportunity this Friday night, Sam Houston Coliseum, when he teams with his partners, Steve Dr. Death Williams, up against Dick Murdoch and the Superstar. But if you remember, just later to attack DiBiase, and he busted DiBiase head wide open on that ring post, and as fans saw what happened to DiBiase, also, they saw how DiBiase fought World Heavyweight Champion Ric Flair, even with a cut head and a injured head. They admired the guts, the intestinal fortitude of DiBiase, and they combined that with their admiration through the years of his ability as a wrestler and also his toughness inside the ropes. And Ted DiBiase has quickly become one of the, and he doesn't care if his opponent gets tough too. And that's why Murdoch's been involved in some of the most rugged battles we've seen the last few months here in Houston. And this battle that he has coming up this Friday night, that tag team event, should be just as wild and just as savage, as well as the $25,000 Bunkhouse Battle Royal. Can you imagine these same two men? Add 18 more men dressed in cowboy boots with belts or whatever they wear into the ring they can use in the match. For $25,000, you will see why, the first time in Houston wrestling history, we're having a Bunkhouse Battle Royal, and why we're urging fans to come down and see it. And you see DiBiase, he's been cut open, the thing that turned the tide. Your referee was Tommy Gilbert for this match. My name is Peter Burkholz, and I do want to remind you one more time that Fan Appreciation Night will be this coming Friday night, so there'll be no confusion about it, and it will take place at the Sam Houston Coliseum, the home of Houston wrestling, and that's the night that is not only going to be the reduced ticket prices for general admission, but also the session with the wrestlers where you can get their autographs and free pictures handed out. As DiBiase right now finding it going extremely tough against Murdoch. You can hear the fans start to chant in the background, "Go Teddy, go." I mentioned before they have really taken to supporting DiBiase and his quest for coming back after Murdoch. And Murdoch, one kick after another again sends DiBiase to the mat. And DiBiase, as both men are bleeding, both men have given it everything they have. And as Murdoch retreats to the corner, DiBiase showing the same courtesy Murdoch showed him earlier, showing no mercy whatsoever. And DiBiase says that he has adjusted his attitude, but one thing he says, as they go up against Murdoch, and Murdoch has selected the Superstar to be in his corner, four big, powerful men who are going to have a tough, savage showdown. DiBiase now adjusting that glove of his. The fans are cheering because they'd like to see that adjusted glove land right on the kisser of Murdoch. That's DiBiase on the concrete floor. I'd also like to remind you that this Friday night is also the same night that we will have a North American heavyweight title match with Jake the Snake Roberts up against the controversial Dick Slater. The same night we have a Mexican death match, tag battle, if you will, with the Guerreros up against the Fabs. A tremendous lineup of wrestling from opening match at 8 o'clock to the final event, a history-making $25,000 Bunkhouse Battle Royal. And that's Murdoch. And Murdoch's got to be one of the favorites in that Battle Royal because there's not going to be a whole lot of wrestling involved in it. It's just going to be good street fighting to the best. And Murdoch is one of the best in professional wrestling at that type of showdown. DiBiase's got to be another big favorite for that Bunkhouse battle just due to his size and toughness as well. But when 20 men get in the ring for $25,000, anything can happen, and it usually does. Right there you saw Murdoch snap DiBiase with that rubber-coated steel cable. DiBiase in a lot of pain down on the floor. Murdoch anxiously trying to get at him, but the referee was able to convince him to stay inside the ring, but not for a very long time. Murdoch now aims that chair, and it crashed on the back of the head of DiBiase, and you can hear the sound of that chair coming down on the back of the head of DiBiase. as Murdoch showed no mercy whatsoever in driving that metal chair to the back of the head. And DiBiase, he's in serious trouble. Murdoch now aims and lands with that elbow across the throat. We've got Murdoch on top. We've got two, but that's all we have. And that's got to be one of the best examples, best demonstrations you're going to ever see of a wrestler refusing to quit. Because if any man, and most of the wrestlers would have been down for the 3 count, any man receiving that much punishment and being able to bounce back has got to be rated double tough. Murdoch now up on the top rope as he's trying to use DiBiase, set him up, and driving his face right into the mat, and that's a move we haven't seen in a long, long time. And Murdoch wasting little time in turning DiBiase over as DiBiase once again finds himself in a position he's got to kick out, and he again shows the determination that fans respect, the guts, the ability, that rugged toughness to not to call it quits regardless of the situation. Now Murdoch trying to set him up for a backdrop, and look at Murdoch as he gets prepared to quit. When the going got tough, as has his hand raised, he is the winner of the match. Ted DiBiase, and he is a big favorite in that Bunkhouse Battle Royal. He is also looking forward to this Friday night, and that he wasn't looking forward to. That was the superstar. The match is over. The super man who is now the friend of Dick Murdoch coming down, and now the two of them do what Mick Murdoch couldn't do on his own, and that is to lower the boom on DiBiase. And that masked superstar, a man with a big reputation, a man who has come to the aid of Dick Murdoch. Don't ask me why, but maybe there's some money involved in that as well. But Murdoch setting DiBiase up again, the masked superstar standing there as they survey the work they've done. DiBiase hurt. Murdoch, who lost the match, and now he's in a ring with the superstar, and this is why Dick Murdoch and the masked superstar better be ready for the battle of their lives this Friday night at the Coliseum, because when Ted DiBiase comes back, he's going to have Steve Dr. Death Williams in his corner, and that should be one of the wildest tag battles of the 1986 wrestling season. Be at the Coliseum this Friday night. There's so much going on, and that's going to be the place for the greatest professional wrestling action. Sam Houston Coliseum, the home of Houston wrestling.
You know, I don't know whose idea this was. I mean, it's a strange thing to me. A bunkhouse brawl, I mean, that's a little bit much in my books. But I've always said that if you name the game and you lay out the rules, a snake can play it. So I'm going to be bringing a little rope. Everybody knows I always wear my boots. But what about a mask? Now, would I be the kind of guy to bring a mask into a bunkhouse brawl? Think about it. Let me think. Yeah, I would. See ya.
Houston, Texas loves a fight. And this is going to be one of the greatest fights you've ever seen. It's the bunkhouse brawl. 20 men in the ring going after $25,000. Come dressed as you are. No rules, no friends. You get in there, it's just every man for himself. And you can come dressed as you are. Well, you don't see me dressed very often in something other than a suit. But I've got my cowboy boots. I got my old favorite pair of jeans. I got my belt for weightlifting. And I may have a few things up my sleeve, because $25,000 is a lot of money. And I tell you, I can't wait to get in that bunkhouse brawl to win it.
To my right, in the blue corner, weighing in at 12 pounds, from Dallas, Texas, Linda Dallas. Her opponent, weighing in at 120 pounds, from New York, Misty Blue.
So there you have the introduction, and this is going to be a change of pace right here on the Houston Wrestling Show on Channel 39 Gold, as Carl Fergie, the referee, with this assignment, and it's going to be, would know in a few minutes whether he was privileged with this assignment or that he's going to wish that the other referee was selected by the commissioner. But Linda Dallas and Misty Blue, and Linda Dallas is the one in the black tights, and the white tights belong to Misty Blue, as these are two good upcoming young girl wrestlers. as you can see Carl Fergie explaining the rules to him, as you don't see as much girl wrestling as you did a few years ago, and because the number of girl wrestlers have been reduced, but more important, they are now traveling all around the world, and so the demand for them is up even more. So Misty Blue warning Carl Fergie to stay out of the way, which is probably a warning a lot of the Houston wrestling fans, and probably anybody, any of you sitting at home may say too. When you have two women who go after each other, the best thing to do is to step back. And as Misty Blue demonstrated her ability with those two arm drags, Linda Dallas drives it to the mat, and you're going to see a little bit more scientific wrestling in the girl than you've seen in such battles on this program as Dick Murdoch and Ted DiBiase, and also in that wild tag battle. But the girl wrestlers, they also don't refrain from throwing a boot in or a fist or whatever it takes, because it's a tough sport, an extremely tough way for a woman to make a living. But it takes a certain type of girl to like that kind of competition, the traveling involved, to see the world, every night a different city and a different opponent. And it's an exciting life, but it's not recommended too heartily by promoters or by other girl wrestlers to you young females out there who think that that may be a glamorous way to make a living, because you take a lot of punishment, as Misty Blue is right now. As you can see, a step over toe hold, but Linda Dallas is applying it a little bit different. She was using it, squatting down, applying more pressure, and she was using her right knee to increase the pressure. And that's one thing they have yet to do, is to slow down at all. That's one thing about girl wrestling that's usually true. It's fast. It's every minute is something happening in that ring as both wrestlers are able to explode. A good driving drop kick. Misty Blue came up with those long legs of hers and planted those boots right into the target of Linda, and now she comes down with a reverse chin lock. Carl Fergie checking the hold, make sure, but what he didn't check was the teeth of Linda. She chomped down. Again, she's biting the arm of Misty Blue, the referee who's usually not confronted with this type of problem, as he starts to send warnings, and Linda Dallas is pointing that Misty Blue was herself using illegal tactics, such as biting down on the opponent. Good switch by Blue, and then she rolls Dallas down to the mat as Linda felt that up every single vertebrae of her back. Misty Blue setting up again. Again, it's a crash landing for Linda Dallas, and twirls over for a pin, but not for long. This match is taking place in the Sam Houston Coliseum, the home of Houston wrestling, in an arena that's known throughout for its wrestling tradition, for wrestling stars and also tough and rugged battles, also innovations in wrestling. And an innovation that just took place is Misty Blue introduced the face of Linda Dallas at mat. A good move by Dallas as she twirled Misty Blue around, trying to get that quick pin. In this match, we've already seen several moves that we haven't seen in quite some time, and we may see some moves that we may not want to see for quite some time. Both of these are good. I mentioned before, they're young, they're aspiring, and they know one thing: success in professional wrestling means winning. Without the winning record, without the winning tradition, you're not going to be a success in wrestling. And Carl Fergie there just had about enough of Linda Dallas's rule breaking, pulled her hair, and Fergie took a quick retreat when he saw Linda Dallas coming up with that look in her eye. Misty Blue now starting to receive the warnings by Fergie, and Linda took full advantage of the fact that Misty Blue had her back to her, and that was a cardinal mistake in wrestling. So Houston wrestling fans, thousands and thousands at the Coliseum, take this opportunity to argue with Linda, and what Linda should have been doing is spending more time worrying about Misty Blue. Misty Blue brings it to the mat, but not for it. And now Misty Blue on top of Carl Fergie. And look at Linda. She took advantage of that opportunity to drive that boot right where it did the most good. Carl Fergie his pride hurt a little bit, not to mention something else, but he also trying to figure out who did it. Misty Blue claims it was Linda. Linda says it wasn't me. The fans at the Coliseum trying to help Carl Fergie solve the mystery. And Fergie continues to match. One reason it's not an easy job to referee that girls match, because so many unusual things can happen. Dallas has got the legs, and you can see how if you control the legs, you can control your opponent. She was able to just whip Misty Blue across, and those boots were coming on the inside thigh, a flip over, small package, but it didn't work. Misty Blue setting her up in a beautiful monkey flip. She caught her coming off those ropes very nicely and was able to thrust her high in the air. And Linda decides that outside the ring for a few moments is the place to be. Just to collect her thoughts, give her body a few seconds of rest to catch her breath, and then able to step back in the ring and continue her battle against Misty Blue. Carl Fergie now, still administering the count. Once the wrestler gets on the ring apron, that count becomes a 10 count. Timeout being signaled by Linda, but in professional wrestling there is no timeout, as Linda found out the hard way. So Misty Blue just dropped Linda right down on the mat, as Blonde has got this match coming her way. And she has a good drop kick. She comes running across, which sends more weight and more momentum into that cruise. And it's a good way to apply that drop kick. First chin lock, but it's very close to being on the throat. Now Linda escapes and has an arm bar. As she twirls Blue into the ring post, and you're starting to see the forearm, and that forearm is legal. It's the fist that's not legal in some matches in professional wrestling, but you could use a forearm, and if you can throw a forearm like Misty Blue just threw that double kick, you can level your opponent. I was going to mention some people in the past who were vicious forearms. Dory Funk Jr. had one. Lou Thez. They had a forearm that when a wrestler was hit by it, they would sure like to wish that it was a fist and not a forearm. High in the air, back suplex. Good move by Misty Blue, as Misty Blue demonstrated some great wrestling ability and comes out on top of Linda Davis right here in the Sam Houston Coliseum. We'll be back for more wrestling action in one moment.
We're $25,000 richer. And because we're $25,000 richer, it's because of all you people out there. You're number one. Number one, all of us. Houston, Texas is behind Dr. Death and Ted DiBiase. And we told everybody that this was right up our alley. This is the way we like to do business. And we got the job done, didn't we, Doc? Who they say is coming back? Who they say is coming back? That's on Jim Duggan. Duggan's coming back. That's on Jim Duggan. And everybody knows. I got to surprise Houston. It's got to surprise everybody that Jim Duggan and Ted DiBiase and Dr. Death would ever be in the same ring, in the same corner. Now, let me tell you something. This took a lot of negotiating because of the bad blood between Duggan and myself and Doc. But we got one common bond. We're coming together for one thing. Jim Duggan's going to score you, Buzz Sawyer. Dick Murdoch, I want you. Superstar, you're a bounty hunter. And there's nothing that Doc likes to do better than take heads off. So the three of us are going to get together against those three, a six-man tag team match. Peter?
Tag war.
Tag war is it. It's going to be just like that Battle Royal tonight. It's going to be an all-out war. Jim Duggan, Dr. Death, and Ted DiBiase. Ain't nobody going to walk down that alley, brother, and come out a winner except us right here. Isn't that right, Houston?
So you're looking at the winners of the Bunkhouse Battle Royal. Steve Dr. Death Williams, $25,000. He did it by the assistance of his partner, Ted DiBiase. Now let me tell you that Houston Wrestling will return to the Sam Houston Coliseum this Friday night starting at 8 o'clock. This coming Friday night, that's only 6 days away. Another tremendous card. You're going to hear about it later on the program. And remember, we're 2 hours strong, so stay. But let me talk about some of the matches you're going to see. You're going to see a main event, six-man tag war. Ted DiBiase, 1,000 strong. Thousands were turned away here in the Sam Houston Coliseum. And And one of the reasons we have a sellout crowd here tonight is this match you're about to see. For the North American Heavyweight title, 60-minute time limit. And it should be a great one. Jake the Snake is a man who can upend the champion. The bell sounds and this North American Heavyweight Championship match is underway. A sellout crowd of 10,000 strong here in the Coliseum. A turnaway crowd. And Jake the Snake Roberts will be battling the controversial, the arrogant North American Heavyweight Champion, Dick Slater. The belt is on the line. Your referee for this match is Tommy Gilbert. My name is Peter Burkholz, and this should be a great showdown. Remember, Jake the Snake is a man with the DDT, the man who has captured the heart of wrestling fans as well as Mid-South wrestling fans. And Dick Slater, we've warned you of his reputation. He's arrogant, he's cocky, but he is tough, and he's good enough to be the North American Heavyweight Champion. But that may change during this match. Buckled and slammed by the Snake. Jake the Snake is a big wrestler, and he moves quick. Dickie Slater is a type champion that can wrestle you both ways. He can mix it up with you if you want to do it roughhouse style, or he can out-wrestle you if you want to get down to basic wrestling. That's one reason he's going to be a tough champion to beat. And that's Dark Journey, the woman, excuse me. It's hard to take a look at Dark Journey and get confused, and that was my mistake. Dark Journey, she's a woman, and she's the one that goes to the corner of Dick Slater. She's just as controversial as Dick Slater, but up in the ring we've been taking. You see who's doing the giving and who's doing the taking. Jake the Snake went for it. He went for the DDT, and we almost had the match. We almost had a new North American champion. Look at Dick Slater. He knows it. You can bet that heart of his is pounding. DDT, DDT, echoes throughout this sold-out Coliseum, 10,000 strong. We want to thank you, Houston, for again supporting us on this fan appreciation night. And as Jake goes for the DDT again, Slater just a little bit too quick. DDT is that maneuver that Jake the Snake uses when he drives his opponent's head and face right into the mat with the force of both men's weight and then some. And when he lands a DDT, they don't come back for a long, long time. Jake the Snake is a man who people point to just one split second, and he can beat the North American Heavyweight Champion. In one split second, he could beat world champion Ric Flair. And as Jake the Snake now, using an arm twist, wraps up that left arm of the champion. I'd like to take this opportunity to remind you that Houston Wrestling does return to the same Houston Coliseum next Friday night. That's correct. That's only 7 days away. Next Friday night, 8 p.m. A huge, tremendous card that you're going to hear about during this program. Stay tuned for the full 2 hours because we've got plenty of wrestling action. Plus exciting news as Mid-South and promoter Paul Bosch have teamed together again with a tremendous card for you wrestling fans here in the city of Houston next Friday night right at the same Houston Coliseum. Shot at Dark Journey as she's shown some concern, and she should because she knows the reputation and the capability of the DDT when administered by Jake the Snake. Again, he puts that driving knee into the shoulder of Slater. And now as there's a conversation going on before Dark Journey and Jake the Snake, Jake better be careful because that's how Dark Journey earns her keep sometimes, is to be able to distract Slater's opponents. And that vicious chop, one right after another. Jake holding on, but now he comes back. Again, it's a give and take. Again, it's Slater who ends up taking and up and over the top rope. An atomic drop sets him over the top rope. Slater immediately wants a disqualification. Dark Journey is claiming the same. And Jake the Snake has slithered outside as he wants to deny Slater any chance of wrestling outside the ring. Now Jake. Aims with a knee, and he lands. Beautiful, the way he drove that knee into the kisser of this champion. DDT, DDT, 1,000 strong. Jake the Snake's Army standing on their feet, chanting. There we see posters in the side. 5 minutes have gone by in this North American Heavyweight title match between champion Dick Slater, who you see in your screen right now, and the challenger, the man with the DDT, Jake the Snake Roberts. A sold-out Coliseum, 10,000 strong, and one of the matches they came to see is the one you're watching right here. Jake looking out to the crowd. We see signs. We see his huge army signaling Jake #1. Fingers pointing, signifying that in their hearts he's #1. They will love it if Jake the Snake can pull the upset and defeat Dick Slater for the North American Heavyweight title match. It's a one fall with a 60-minute time limit. And as Slater and Jake are maneuvering for position, Slater threw it in there. But look how quick Jake comes back, and he's caught by Gilbert. The referee trying to break him up, as Slater, with his years of ring experience, saw that opening, and he took full advantage of it. Slater pounds him with that fist of his. The referee warns him, but Slater is beyond the point of being warned. Slater knows he's going to have to battle for his life to hold on to that precious belt. One of the most prestigious belts in all of professional wrestling. Two, but no. Slater now covers him up. Two, and a good shot. As you saw, Snake down to the mat. Now the chant, go Snake, go. Go Snake, go. Go Snake, go. These fans love Jake the Snake Roberts. They don't like Dick Slater, so you can see that it's a partisan crowd that's pulling for the Snake. Outside the ring, Slater looks like he's aiming. And he does. He comes across that boot before Jake can get into the ring. As we're seeing one demonstration after another of Slater's controversial style. He takes advantage of every rule and regulation and takes advantage of the referee pushing him inch by inch, and if you give him an inch, he takes a mile. But he's up there as the North American champion, as he plans to be there for a long time, because that puts him in the status of a kingpin. But one of the problems of being a kingpin is that